Good evening, and welcome to the Board of Commissioners working session for May 9th, 2024. Our first item of business is a motion to approve the minutes from the working session of February 8th, 2024, and I so move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we will hold on public comment until after the discussion, and then we'll take any public comment related to the new business we have this evening, which is a presentation of the final major land development application, LD-23-01, for the location at 711 Fox Chase Road, Jenkintown, PA 19046. My understanding is that this evening's presentation is going to be focused on any changes that were made as part of the Planning Commission review, and limited to that. Yep, thank you.
You all probably know this project better than I do at this point. You've seen this go through preliminary land development approval. It received approval back in March. They immediately resubmitted their land development plan for final approval. We did receive unanimous Planning Commission approval at the end of April at their most recent meeting. So just a quick reminder, 150 age-restricted carriage homes on this particular property. They've kind of crossed the T's, dotted the I's. The recent review letter is very clean. Most of it is will comply. There are two changes to the final land development plan that we just wanted to bring to your attention this evening. I'm joined here this evening by Brian Tierney, who is from Toll Brothers. We also have Jeffrey Madden, who is with ESE Consultants, and then we also have our traffic consultant, Sandy Koza, who is here from Bowman as well, to the extent that there are questions. But I'm actually going to hand this over to Jeff to talk a little bit about those two plan changes, one being the frontage sidewalk and the other being the buffer requirements that we've satisfied to the satisfaction of the neighbors.
Thank you.
Good evening, Jeff Madden, ESE Consultants.
Oh, yeah, is the camera not on?
We're having an issue with the...
Okay, but
Is it okay if we pause for a moment so I can...
certainly, if we can, for sure, let's pause.
We're having an issue with it feeding out to Zoom.
Got it, okay.
So what you're seeing on the display is not yet reaching the input of Zoom. They can hear them.
Okay, but they should be able, we will, thank you, Ashley.
I'm on the clock. This is on my 2 minutes, right?
Sorry.
Oh, no, you're... Which angle do you go? You'll follow the board.
Technical difficulties have been resolved, so we can now resume with your presentation, sir. Thank you for your patience.
Good evening again, Jeff Madden, ESE Consultants. Just want to go over the two minor changes or clarifications that were done to the plans at your direction and the Planning Commission's direction, as well as some of the neighbors. We received a waiver for the partial waiver for the sidewalk. And this is the ultimate disposition of where the sidewalk has been placed. The request and waiver granted was for the sidewalk to remain half a foot or a foot in front of the right-of-way line for the site, and then would just neck back down to meet the existing sidewalk on both the north side of Fox Chase Road for the property as well as the south. So this is the only minor change or clarification that was done to the plans, again, just to memorialize the waiver that we received from the Plan Commission and yourselves previously. So this is what it would look like. And the only other, again, minor change or clarification was, I'll just use the overall. Toll Brothers has been in conversations with the neighbors, as well as in the ordinance. There's a 75-foot buffer that is required from the outbound. There was a couple trees that were straggling that line a couple feet, so we just pushed those back to have a clear distinction of 75 foot from behind, from the outbound itself.
I see.
Other than that, the
The
plan
plan
is,
remains the same.
the plan remains the same, and there's a very clean comment letter from Benoni.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Rothman.
So we've discussed this for years now, and I appreciate all of you answering all the questions of the residents. I love when they tell me that they reached out to you, and especially you, Brian, that you're helping them with the answers to their questions. One resident that couldn't be here tonight had a question, and just so that we answer that, because I'm sure there's a few others that might have a question, can you, in the, I guess, the easiest, swiftest type way possible, show where there will be sidewalks throughout the development, within the development, essentially, right? So we've established now that you can come down Forest, make a left on the Fox Chase, walk over to the development. Within there, the concern was about safety for residents in there or others that I guess may just kids walking through and walking around in there.
Sure. The internal sidewalks are on both sides of the streets in a majority of the subdivision itself. There are some areas where there are not sidewalks, but for the most part, there's pedestrian crossings, handicap ramps, or what have you, to navigate from one side of the road to the other. But it's internal to the subdivision. There is no connections to the outbound, to the adjoining residences. So everything is self-contained, both on site and on Fox Chase Road.
From the subdivision out, the residents there would be able to walk along sidewalks out to the Fox Chase Road sidewalks that go both ways there on Fox Chase Road, correct?
That's correct. There's a sidewalk that would lead them to the intersection of the main road.
Okay. I think that's all that particular resident wanted to chat about. I know we do have, before we're done, we do have one resident who stuck around all night through some interesting stuff, so we'll make sure he gets some commentary
Let me
time.
just see if there's any other questions from commissioners, and then I'll open it up to the resident. Does anybody have comments or questions? Okay, and with that, if you'd like to come forward, please do.
How you doing? John Tracy, 663 Seminole Avenue. I have 5 minutes?
You do, yes.
Okay,
at this
great.
meeting.
So I think this took me like almost 4 minutes to talk about. Toll Brothers has not done our neighborhood any favors. Toll sought out the prime St. Basil's property and groomed the sisters for acquisition. Once secure, Toll's used a multitude of representatives, speakers, and lawyers to handle the early melee of community questions, mostly on Zoom, involving overcrowded street exits, land development, and amount and time of homes that would be built. They had merely to allow the people in the neighborhood to let off some steam for a couple of meetings and then resume their march forward once the computers were turned off. And so the township watched the building plans unfold in front of them. Toll knew to initially propose very high numbers of homes to cause increased anxiety in the neighbors. Then Toll introduced us to assisted living and nursing home plans on drawings which included the fact that there was no zoning change needed to make it happen. The assisted living nursing home drawings looked overcrowded on the 47 acres and promised 24/7 activity in and out for staff. Surely the neighbors would rather have a zoning change for residential than have that. Toll had used that tactic before. Then Toll played their over 55 carriage home card with the number of homes down to 150. The drawings were much better than assisted living. Surely that was a much needed favor from Toll, or was it the number that they wanted in the first place? Toll submitted the buffer zones and no through traffic on side streets, but perhaps through experience, these contentions were not worth any money fighting for. So who's Toll? They are a multi-billion Fortune 500 company whose stock price today is about $126. They have their own mortgage company, and if you have very good credit, you may qualify for a very low, below average rate today of 5.875%. Would they possibly do that so that people could qualify to buy a more expensive home? Toll Brothers is ranked number 10 out of 20 and got 3 out of 5 stars from the Most Trusted Home Builder poll. They received 1.5 stars from 105 reviews on the Better Business Bureau site, 1.3 stars out of 259 reviews from Consumer Affairs, and 1.3 stars out of 12 reviews from the Toll Brother Mortgage Company. YouTube videos recommend you hire your own personal real estate agent or lawyer to carefully analyze your contract before you sign and warn you of such things as earnest down payment loss, loss of their lower interest rate, consequences of building delays, closing delays, loss of ability to advertise your home openly if you would have to sell prior to all their new homes being built and sold. Warranty work done by outside contractors, and high-end a la carte upgrades and prices for less than luxury home bills. Most Americans cannot afford their homes. Younger families who are in need of homes now during the housing crisis cannot afford a Toll mortgage or home. The average older person will find it hard to sell their current home and just step into a Toll luxury home without some kind of mortgage payment. And then you have HOA fees. Talk about inflation. I submit all of this to you as the commissioners to make sure we do get some favors from Toll as our journey with the Toll build continues. Please help this area of Abington remain a good place to live in. Ensure that there are no cut-through streets, the land buffer stays, water and waste are properly drained and safely taken out of the new community. Building codes and inspections are followed. Demolition of a building with asbestos is done according to EPA standards. We need you, the commissioners, to be the stewards for our neighbors and residents. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, sir. Is there anyone else here that wishes to make a comment?
I'm Joe Rooney. I live in Ardsley, and I asked a couple of commissioners while I've talked to them before to give me the name of anybody in the township that's in favor of building 150 row homes on St. Basil's property, and I've never received a name. Drew, do you have names?
This is public comment. This is not question and answer period.
I'm making a rhetorical question, and I'm addressing people. You can give me a little bit of room there, okay? So have any of you got names? I don't know if Dennis does. I don't know if Jimmy DiPlacido does. I've met not one person that's in favor of 150 homes. Now, you guys are hell on wheels for getting rid of plastic bags in the township and patting yourselves on the back for your environmentalism. We have 47 acres. Is that what it is? We have 47 acres of land right now with a standing school on it, and we could use that school, and we could use that little bit of open space that's left.
Mr. Rooney,
Instead, we're gonna
the
put
property
one-
was purchased in a private transaction that the township has no jurisdiction over.
You all are still changing zoning and changing all these rules. They came in as a speculator to do this because they knew that they could get you guys to agree to put 150 row homes on 47 acres in Abington Township. No one's in favor of it, and you all are just letting it happen, and it's wrong.
I don't see any other residents in the room. It looks like there's two people on Zoom that wish to speak.
Liz Kerr?
Hi, I just wanted to clarify that what I heard was that the 75 feet of buffer, that's only for the front, and the 125-foot buffer around the property, that is still the same, correct?
You can come back up, sure.
There's a 125-foot buffer around the perimeter on the sides. The minor change to the landscape was there was a few trees that were less than the 75-foot to the property line, so we moved them back to create the 75-foot buffer around from the property line itself, just to measure distance.
Thank you. Did you have any further questions?
No, just that.
Okay, thank you.
Mike Tobin?
Yeah, hi, just, if you could just clarify that, it's from, I'm on Kirkwood, and it is supposed to be 125 on the sides, on the two side streets. So it's 120, it's from the back of my yard to the tree line is 75 feet, and then there's another 50 feet past that? Is that what you're saying with the trees?
The buffer is 125 foot to a back of a residence. There's a 75-foot open space between the backs of your homes and the first trees, that buffer.
Okay.
So it's the same plan that was previously shown as an exhibit. We just implemented on these plans and had to move a couple of trees back to get that full 75 feet instead of 73 or 70.
Okay, so, but in total, it's 125, but it's 75 to the first buffer, whether it's trees or bushes, and that has yet to be clarified, I think.
Correct.
Okay. Next question is, as far as the demo, what is Toll going to do to limit, I know it can't be 100% stopped, but it's going to be a dust bowl. What steps are being taken? Do they have to water down the property before, they start like blowing it up or, pulling it apart? What's going to be done to mitigate the amount of dust and debris that's, flying towards our houses and all that?
Good evening, Brian Theron from Toll Brothers.
Thank you.
To answer your question, yeah, they have to, if it's required that they water things down because it's getting dusty, like in the middle of the summer that happens, they have to water it down. So, and again, just like site work too, if it turns to dust, the Conservation District comes out quickly, so the contractor is responsible to keep the dust control. And they do that with water trucks, really.
Okay. And I'm assuming there's asbestos that's already been addressed, the removal of that and all that crap, right?
Yeah, it's been identified. Before we start demoing the building, we have an asbestos contractor that has to remove the asbestos per DEP guidelines, make sure that's done appropriately, and then we can demo the structure.
And what methodology is going to be done with is it going to be picked apart, or is it going to be a minimal implosion kind of thing, or is it just going to be wrecking ball type stuff?
When they remove the asbestos, it's kind of the old school way. You pick it apart, you bag it, and you get rid of it. It'll probably be an excavator or a larger machine, not a wrecking ball, to start taking down the building kind of from one side, and then they'll kind of push everything in the middle, and then they'll clean it up. So more or less
Okay.
a large excavator will do it.
Okay, and what is the schedule? Is there a schedule? I know this, assuming this goes I think it's going to go to vote next month in June. So from a timeline, once Toll gets the final approval from the board, how many months or days or weeks after that final approval will it be till we start seeing demo take place and what have you?
So our current timeline is, there's three actually outstanding outside agency permits that we have to wait on. There's the HOP permit from PennDOT for the adjustments to the signal. We think that's coming in the next 45 days, maybe. There's our stormwater permit, which is in like a technical review process. We're thinking best case scenario, that's probably 60 days, call it. And then final approval on the sewer. So that's probably, again, another 60 days. So if that's all finished in 60 days, probably in 90 days, we're probably acquiring the property and starting shortly thereafter. So my best guess right now is late summer, call it September-ish with the current timeline.
Okay. And just to answer Joe Rooney, Joe, I don't think anybody, none of the neighbors, there's nobody that wanted 150 houses built behind their house in St. Basil's. Unfortunately, it wasn't a deal with, the nuns made the deal with Toll. It wasn't, as much as I would like to blast the commissioners for this, commissioners, the township wasn't involved in it. It's a shame. So.
All right, thank you, Mr. Tobin.
Thank you.
Thank you. So with that, Manager Manfredi, my understanding is this will come forward at the June voting meeting for us to formally vote on the final plan.
Yes, if there's no other
Yeah.
commissioner comments that,
I don't think there is.
then based on the comments, yes, it would be scheduled for the June 13th
Okay.
meeting.
Commissioner Zappone.
Commissioner, this is in your ward, Drew? Okay, now, excuse me. Have you met with your residents
Yeah, many
and
times.
heard their concerns, right?
Yeah, multiple times, yep.
Okay. I got to tell you, part of our job as a commissioner is responding to the issues of our residents. And as you all know, I've been doing it for 25 years, okay? And I don't really get many calls outside of Ardsley. We're addressing issues like roads and lighting and property maintenance. That's what the people I know in my ward care about. I never really hear anything about, well, what's going on in Ward 7? What's going on in Ward 10? I don't hear that. 25 years, I don't hear that. And a good commissioner is going to meet with their residents, meet with these folks here, get a meeting together, okay, get everything out in the open, okay, and go from there. So everything is open, wide open, transparent, okay? And you have to respond to what your residents want. I've been saying that for years. Your residents put you up here, they'll take you out of here, okay? So if your residents, like my residents, they don't have an issue with this, okay, you got to go what they want. That's the way this business is, okay? So I just wanted to say that's what we do as a commissioner, okay? Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate,
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the sentiment there, and to the point that Mr. Tobin made, and respectfully to the people that I've come to know over 3 years at Toll, it was a situation where very reasonably the residents wanted something else there, right? They're used to a quiet space and all that. As far as any of us know, there was no involvement with other options. We didn't push it towards this and say, a quiet school would be way worse than a neighborhood development, right? And Toll did meet with the residents with me, but many calls and meetings in person. And to me, we made the best of a really tough, difficult situation. And I think that's really what our job is, right? To deal with. A lot of stuff is easy, but not everything is. So I appreciate the residents that are still reaching out to me and will follow through, and they know that Toll will respond to issues such as the dust. But yeah, I mean, there's certainly people that aren't happy about it all. And, you know, some people, there's not that many here today, but I'm sure at our final meeting, there'll be some more. But we've done what we can with the open communication. So I appreciate the sentiment, Dennis. But yeah, it's a tough situation. I think a lot of people will be happy just to get it going.
And I'm fortunate, I don't have stuff like that going on in my ward. I'm very fortunate, you know. And I know there's been 2 or 3 times where things came up in your ward, and you meet with your residents. You meet with a developer coming in. That's what the game's all about.
Yep.
You're trying to make everybody happy, especially your residents. They'll take you out of here in a minute. Election day, you're gone. So you have to respond. If they're legitimate concerns, things you can handle. I get calls, people want me to take care of state and federal things. I don't do that. But I don't tell them that. I'll get back to you. I'll look into, I'll investigate the question they want, and I'll call whoever and get back to them. So again, it's open discussion with your residents constantly.
And Toll Brothers knows to be on call. Their number's there. Brian's number's everywhere. They're going to get a lot of calls during this.
Yeah,
We'll do
I
our
said that
best.
before the last 2 times you had stuff going on. Your meeting, Commissioner Wine, the same thing with him, that last incident we had. You know, as long as you're meeting with your residents, that's important. That's the whole ball of wax, okay? That's it.
Thank you. Commissioner Bowman wanted to say something, and then I think.
Yeah,
we'll
I
adjourn.
just want to commend Commissioner Rothman on this whole matter. And he meets with his residents more than, gosh, anybody I see up here, not to mention Commissioner Weingrad also. They do have tough districts, and I respect that. And I appreciate your work in this, and I think it'll be a fine project. Everybody will like it.
Thank you. Okay, with that, we will adjourn.